Let's start. First, I want to express my appreciation to Mark Johnson and the Shepherd Center for hosting us here in this wonderful location. It truly is a terrific space, and we appreciate that, Mark, and all your staff who have worked with us. I also want to thank the work group. So many organizations from the federal level, state level, and in the local community have participated in the planning of this event, and we also appreciate very much your efforts over weeks and really over several months to bring us here today. My name is Michael Morris. I'm the Executive Director of the National Disability Institute. We have been holding these events in cities across the country with the gracious support of J.P. Morgan Chase. These have been just transformative events. It has been the start, not the end, of a very important conversation. We were fortunate to be able to do some of the groundbreaking research, which really began to create a baseline about the financial behavior of people with disabilities across the country. And as you will hear about in some of my opening remarks, is that we have a long way to go. We have a lot of challenges. But the good news is that presents opportunities. Opportunities when different parts of a community come together. Public and private, not-for-profit and for-profit, the disability community and the financial community. So there is much we can do, and we have been doing this in cities all across the country. And change is beginning to take place, and we'll be talking more about that. So before we get going, we have several welcome and introductions.
Good morning, everyone. I have a 14-year-old daughter and a 12-year-old son. They will tell you I can speak pretty loudly. So I'll try to use my mommy voice. Really, just to offer you all a very warm welcome to Atlanta, to the state of Georgia. So proud to be at the Shepherd Center this morning. Many thanks to Mark Johnson, a dear old friend and colleague, and I hope that the spirit of the Shepherd Center is present today with all of you, because what that means to me, and I think many of us who live in Atlanta and have had the pleasure of walking the halls of a place that really is a gem in the city, is this is a place of not only rehabilitation, but recovery and meaningful recovery. And so I hope that spirit that is in these walls really can be infused into the conversations today. My hope for you today is really about collaboration and the opportunity to listen to one another about our different perspectives about what's possible. I start today with a lot of optimism, and I really want to bring you greetings on behalf of the Office of the Governor and many state agencies, all of the sister agencies that work together collaboratively. On bad days, you call us bureaucrats. on good days, you recognize that we are often a conduit to federal and state dollars. And I am so proud to be working for the state at a time when the Office of the Governor and the members of the General Assembly truly have a commitment to people with disabilities. So I shall ditch the rest of my prepared remarks and just read to you, and I really do want to just take a moment and read to you the proclamation from the Office of the Governor. Having sat with the Governor and had very pointed and meaningful conversations about people with disabilities, I know that his commitment is real. And I think you'll hear it in these words, and I can really kind of hear him saying this as I read it to you, and I'm very proud to share this with you this morning. The official proclamation to recognize today as Financial Inclusion and Economic Empowerment Day. So, let me read our official government words. Whereas the Americans with Disability Act states the nation's proper goals regarding individuals with disabilities are to assure equality of opportunity, full participation, independent living, and economic self-sufficiency for such individuals. And whereas 28 years after the passage of ADA, Americans with disabilities are twice as likely as their non-disabled peers to experience poverty, and nearly 50% remain unbanked or underbanked. And whereas the state of Georgia is dedicated to promoting economic advancement, equal opportunity, and full inclusion among the disabled community to better meet the diverse needs of individuals who live and work in Georgia and are affected by such impairments. And whereas by adopting and implementing critical initiatives to improve accessibility, promote employment, and welcome participation in all aspects of life, the state of Georgia has helped to improve the lives of citizens with disabilities. And whereas the diversity, culture, and contributions of Georgia's many residents with disabilities enhance our communities, schools, workforce, and social and economic environment, and whereas the financial capability and inclusion are necessary to provide residents affected by disabilities with greater opportunities to achieve economic stability, mobility, and security, and further help our state meet the goals outlined by the ADA, the state of Georgia is committed to advancing financial inclusion for people with disabilities by providing them with the services and resources needed to live independent and fulfilling lives. Now, therefore, I, Nathan Deal, Governor of the state of Georgia, do hereby proclaim April 30th of 2018 as Financial Inclusion and Economic Empowerment Day in Georgia, and encourage all Georgians to recognize the Americans with Disabilities Act by promoting economic self-sufficiency for all Americans with disabilities. In witness thereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the Executive Department to be affixed on this 27th day of April in the year of our Lord 2018, with the signature of Governor Deal and his Chief of Staff, Chris Riley. I am so proud to express to you the state of Georgia's commitment to the conversations and to the execution of full inclusion for individuals with disabilities. Thank you for the work that you're doing.
I'm next going to call on Rodney Hood, who represents the Office of Nonprofit Engagement at JP Morgan Chase. He's come down from Washington, D.C. to make a few remarks as well.
I will just say, ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to be here today representing JP Morgan Chase and to really have an opportunity to demonstrate the unwavering commitment we have to working around financial inclusion in communities with disabilities. I have an opportunity, you all, by working with groups like the National Disability Institute to see how we as a company can host convenings such as today. I want to thank Michael Morris and his wonderful leadership, you all, that he has shown in going around the country, putting together events such as this morning, where individuals can come, talk about challenges, but also talk about the opportunities for a bright future around having ABLE accounts, around having access to the financial mainstream. Some things that we as a company are doing, you all, in partnership with groups like NDI, in addition to doing summits such as this, we are also, you all, very committed to workforce development and also hiring individuals with disabilities. Because today, you all, as we talk about economic mobility, access to the financial mainstream, those cannot be done in a vacuum. Those opportunities around financial inclusion can be buttressed by jobs. That is why we have a newly created Office of Disability Inclusion at JP Morgan Chase. The sole purpose of our ODI group is to hire talented individuals with disabilities. Jim Sanuki runs that organization for us, and he now has already hired close to 1,000 folks over the past year, and these are you all in positions throughout the JP Morgan Chase franchise. We're looking at folks to really come in all different areas of the company, whether it be in law, finance, economics. Many of you in this room may know of folks, or maybe perhaps many of you in this room may also want to look at careers. And again, we want you to know that we're committed through, again, the Office of Disability Inclusion. Those folks also, you all, we need to have people who are young students. So we now have a new program which is called We See Ability, where we're going to be recruiting college students with disabilities to come to JP Morgan Chase in New York this summer, where they will have an opportunity, you all, to visit with many of our bankers and to see if this is the type of opportunity we want to have. If you all know of college students who are either sophomores or juniors with a 3.2 GPA or higher, you can go to www.jpmorgan.com/careers, and they are allowed to apply. And those students who are selected will be flown to JP Morgan's headquarters in New York, again, for a couple of days of meetings and interviews, and again, to see if they want to pursue opportunities in banking. So those are just two of the things that we're doing around workforce development. The creation of the ODI, Office of Disability and Inclusion, and also the internship program. There's another activity that I want to talk about briefly before I return to my seat, and that is, you all, we firmly believe that disability rights are the civil rights of our generation. We believe that it's so important that there are more platforms for people such as you all coming together as advocates. I, in my role as a corporate responsibility manager, I work a lot with other civil rights groups. I work a lot with advocacy groups such as the NAACP, the Urban League, National Council of La Raza. But you all, in working with those groups all have a national platform. They all talk about issues that I think are important to the disabled community, but we did not see a lot of folks with disabilities at any of the conferences that I just mentioned. Did not see a lot of the Urban League, La Raza, economic development conferences. So to that end, I was asked to create an opportunity which we call the Conference Accessibility Initiative. Now in its third year, the JP Morgan Chase Conference Accessibility Initiative brings individuals with disabilities to civil rights and advocacy conferences. What we're doing is, you all, we're providing scholarships for individuals with disabilities to go to the civil rights conferences. We're providing an opportunity for them to be on plenary sessions. We're working with the conference providers to say, how can you integrate content that relates to communities with disabilities into your program? So it now means that these civil rights groups, these community development organizations, they are now keeping disability-related topics top of mind. And in so doing, we are bringing individuals there with disabilities to participate. Also, you will see the captioning, similar to what you're seeing today. You'll see some ASL interpreters. Again, wanting folks to fully integrate the work that we all care about into their main body of work. So those are some of the things that we're doing. The partnership that I mentioned around conference accessibility, that is in partnership with the World Institute on Disability, WID. So if you go to the World Institute on Disability website, you will hear information and see information about that initiative. And perhaps many of you in this room would want to apply for the scholarships that you could receive in terms of then going to some of the upcoming civil rights conferences. And they are coming up this summer. The NAACP will be in San Antonio, July 14th through the 17th. The National Urban League is going to be in Columbus, Ohio, August 1st to the 4th. And again, as ambassadors, you get scholarships, but you also go to make sure that you're asking those thought-probing questions and things like that. So I think I've already used my 6 minutes. With that being said, again, we're just committed as a company. I do want to see a show of hands, though, for other banks and credit unions that may be in the room today. Do we have any others? I see a few hands. Well, welcome and thank you. And I would be remiss, you all, if I didn't say that we're not the only bank that wants to be engaged in this space. I applaud all of you. In fact, it's our hope as we continue to do these types of events with National Disability Institute that there are more banks and credit unions engaged, because I think that a rising tide does lift all boats. And with that being said, I hope you all have a wonderful conference today, and thank you for being here, and thank you, Michael Morris.
And good morning, everyone. And as Michael said, my name is Deetra Grant. I am with Internal Revenue Service, Customer Assistance, Relationships, and Education. Under my purview is the SPEC program, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I also have our field assistants where taxpayers can go into one of our offices. We have 363 offices around the country for face-to-face assistance, as well as our media and publications area where we're responsible for all of our tax products and forms. So Michael mentioned the partnership that we have with NDI, and we have such a great partnership with NDI. And I just wanted to take a few minutes to thank you for giving us the opportunity to participate today and to welcome you to the great city of Atlanta. I remember the partnership back in the early 2000s. We've had a partnership for well over 15 years where we had the Real Economic Impact Tour, where we would go around the country setting up sites for serving folks with disabilities. We were setting up sites and we were preparing tax returns and making sure individuals were taking advantage of the Earned Income Tax Credit. And our partnership has blossomed over the year, and it has been such a great partnership. So the work that we do with our volunteer income tax assistance program and tax counseling for the elderly portrays the impact that we have in the community and portrays our commitment to serving individuals with disabilities and ensuring that everyone takes advantage of the free tax return programs that we offer and all of the other services, and ensuring financial inclusion. Frank?
Thank you, Deetra. And let me just say I have the most amazing boss ever. She's my boss.
He's always sucking up.
Right? When the opportunity comes, you need to take it. And I'd like to echo what Deetra said. We're grateful to be here. Thank you, Michael, for inviting us. As the IRS, we don't get invited to very many things, so we're really grateful. We feel really special. And as you know, we're no stranger to technical difficulties. Right? The last day of filing season, we had problems too. So we're nimble and we can be really flexible. So thank you for inviting us. I want to first recognize my staff that are here. I'm grateful for them. In the back, I've got Dan Mayer. He's the manager of national partnerships. Raise your hand, do the wave. And Don Dale is here, and Cecilia James is somewhere here in the audience. She may be out front. So we're really grateful for them coming to be part of this event. Deetra talked a little bit about VITA TCE. I love being part of the SPEC organization because I believe that it's a cause, not a program. It gives the opportunity for individuals to come to have their tax returns prepared for free, where it could cost them several $100s to go somewhere else. And they get the opportunity to take advantage of the Earned Income Tax Credit to put that money back into the economy. We know that many people who take advantage of Earned Income Tax Credit need that money to pay their rent or to pay their bills or to become more financially self-reliant. I wanted to share some numbers with you. We partner with several organizations, and let me give a shout out to Olivia Alston. We're grateful for her with United Way. We partner with their organization here in Atlanta to do free tax return preparation. And we have over 11,000 sites nationwide where we do this, and about 85,000 volunteers that help. How many of you here have volunteered with VITA before? Has anybody? Okay, great. Let me tell you thank you, because it is a wonderful opportunity to give back to the community. This past filing season, we've prepared over 3.4 million tax returns. And of that number, we estimate about 400,000 of them to be veterans and approximately 500,000 to be persons with disabilities. And we really believe that's a tremendous impact in our community to be able to help those individuals. So we want to once again tell you thank you for inviting us, and we're grateful to be part of this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
We always invite the IRS wherever we go, and this is the part of the IRS that gives you money back, and it's extraordinary.
Since we started our partnership with the IRS, working all across the country in over 300 cities, helping bring the disability community to be connected to VITA sites, volunteer income tax assistance, free preparation. We've helped 2.1 million low-income taxpayers with disabilities. And here's the figure to remember. $2.3 billion in tax refunds, which not only stimulates the economy in those cities across the country, it puts money back in the pockets of people with disabilities who earned it and who really helps lift them up out of poverty, pay for down debt that they have, and really starts them on a path to a better economic future. So we're extremely proud of that partnership and always looking at ways to expand it. So let's now go to, if I can make this work. Whoop, okay. Just a bit of context before we turn to our two panels. Why are we all here? I bet each of you has a reason that brought you this morning away from other things that you're doing. But I want to give you a little bit of context. Why are we all here? We're here to learn. We're here to build a bridge. We're here to reduce poverty and advance financial inclusion among Americans with disabilities. We all know, and several people have already talked about the ADA. 28 years ago, that became law, and that began transformative change in this country. What our Congress said in that law is about promoting the proper goals. And we know about equality of opportunity and full participation and movement towards independent living, but it also talked about economic self-sufficiency. And that singularly is the goal that much, much more progress needs to and must be done. We know from data we've collected and analyzed alongside the FDIC and the FINRA Investor Education Foundation, data taken from the US Census Bureau, that adults with disabilities are twice as likely to live in poverty as those without disability. And that rate of poverty continues to go up as people age. Of households headed by an adult with disability, 46%, almost 1 in 2, are unbanked or underbanked. And we know as well are more likely to use alternative financial services, which only adds to poverty, does not reduce debt. We also know that of households headed by an adult with a disability, 41% have no savings accounts as compared to 19%, more than twice as many as compared to 19% of households headed by a person without a disability. We know in terms of indicators of financial stress, again comparing people with to people without disabilities, people with disabilities are more likely to overdraw their checking accounts, more likely to be late with mortgage payments, more likely to have taken a hardship withdrawal from a retirement account, and more likely have taken a loan from a retirement account. And when you look at the percentages, they're not close. They're typically double, and sometimes more than double in terms of financial stress. We know in Atlanta, as we looked at data specific to this city and community, that people with disabilities are more than 3 times as likely not to have a high school diploma, more than 3 times less likely not to have a college degree, almost 3 times as likely to not be in the labor force, and more likely by 2 times more likely to be at or below 150% of the poverty level for this Atlanta metro area, and almost twice as likely, similar to the national average, to be unbanked or underbanked. So those are not national, those are specific statistics to people here. People in this room are probably some very personally aware of these statistics, and others are certainly important to become more familiar with them, because those are the challenges we want to face when we turn to group discussions this afternoon. There are a lot of things we can do, as Judy and others said, in collaboration. Singularly, we can only accomplish so much, but together, as I said earlier in my remarks, government and non-government agencies, community nonprofits, banks, credit unions, all types of agencies, particularly here in the state of Georgia, where the city of Atlanta is the capital city. You have the opportunity to bring together resources that actually are, like IRS, are federal, resources that are state level, like Judy and other state agencies, and then local level, mayor's offices, and then the community, United Way, Shepherd Center, and other nonprofits that are here. So there's a lot we can do together. We know there's no single answer, and we won't get it all done today, but we start the conversation, and that's what's important. This meeting is not a one and done. This is a meeting that will spark more conversation, and we will ask you if you want to join a work group. We will have a training that you will find in the program coming up in early June for those who want more training, more specific information being done in cooperation with the FDIC. But there'll be a work group because your recommendations after lunch are the start of how do we bring about scalable and sustainable change in this Atlanta community, and really opportunity to let that permeate across the state of Georgia. Okay, what's the agenda today? We have two panels before we break into group discussion. The first panel is challenges and opportunities for working age adults with disabilities. The second panel is about collaboration with financial institutions. We're proud to have guest speakers today talk to us about STABLE, which are the ABLE accounts for ABLE eligible individuals in Georgia. And we will have the treasurer of the state of Georgia coming to introduce, Doug Jackson. Georgia partnered with the state of Ohio, and both states call it STABLE accounts because it will help stabilize your financial situation. In the after lunch, and we will bring the lunch to you here, so we'll have a working lunch, will be roundtable group discussions where you're going to help us meet and talk about what do we do to bring about change, practical actions we can take. After you meet in small group, we'll come back together as a whole group, and we'll hear about your recommendations, and we'll hear about what next in terms of a call to action, and we'll come pretty close to staying on time, maybe give or take, may take us till about 3:30. But stay with us as long as you can. I think it will be worth your time. I think today will make you think about things you personally can do. It will make you think about organizations you're a part of and how can they get engaged. And it will make you think about how we as a group, united in a common mission to build a better economic future for people with disabilities, we have common goals, we have resources that can be shared, and we can make a commitment for really change that is doable, not something necessarily that will take more money, but change that will come about from a sharing of resources and a collaboration of energy and commitment to work together. So, what is all this about? It's about financial education, financial capability, and financial well-being. What is financial education? It's about teaching basic knowledge and skills, money management, setting a budget, identifying needs over wants. Financial capability is applying that knowledge and skills, and here's the important part, just having the knowledge and skills but not changing your behavior is not going to take us where we need to go. So it's about applying it and thinking about what we do with a paycheck or what we do with a Social Security payment. How do we earn more Where can we put money for savings? Are we eligible? Are there tax benefits we're not using? There's a whole lot of ways we can make a difference and think about helping people make informed decisions. And finally, what's it all about? It's about financial health and well-being. It's about a way that financial well-being produces better, and this has been proven by the research, better physical and mental health. It's about better choices about where to live, and it has even been proven with greater financial stability, there are greater levels of social, civic, and economic participation. So financial health matters, and this is what this conversation ultimately is all about.